Good morning. Welcome to the UU Church of the South Hills, also known as Sunnyhill. We're delighted that you could join us for this service. Our mission at Sunnyhill is to create a more just and compassionate community within and beyond our walls. My name is Maddie Senaway, and I serve as a worship associate for this congregation. If you are a newcomer or visitor to our congregation, please go to sunnyhill.org and click on the button that says New to Sunnyhill to receive more information about our congregation and to receive our weekly email newsletter. Also, if you'd like to be greeted as a newcomer after the service, please take a red mug and members will seek you out to make sure you are warmly welcomed. If you're joining us online today, please say hello or good morning in the comments on Facebook or YouTube. We'd like to hear from you and extend a welcome to you as well. We welcome children of all ages to our service. For quiet play, we have a children's area here in the sanctuary. For louder activities, we have a nursery just outside the corner entrance to the sanctuary. We also have a comfort room, accessible through the back hallway, from which you can hear and see the service. A gentle reminder to everyone, please silence your cell phones and other electronic devices so that we can enjoy the service uninterrupted by buzzing or ringing. Today's sermon is titled The Summer Day. If contemporary Unitarian Universalism were to have its own Book of Common Prayer, it would almost certainly include some of the poems of Mary Oliver. This service will explore why one of Oliver's poems, The Summer Day, is especially powerful and relevant. Our opening words were written by Mary Oliver. All night, my heart makes its way, however it can, over the rough ground of uncertainties. But only until night meets and then is overwhelmed by morning, the light deepening, the wind easing, and just waiting, as I too wait, and when have I ever been disappointed, for redbird to sing. Please join me in saying the words to light our chalice. May the light of our chalice remind us that night is always followed by morning, and that morning is a time of singing.
That's right. It's time for singing. Please rise and body your spirit to join in singing Joy in the Morning.
morning, everybody. My name is Bethany Thornton, and I serve as the membership director here at Sunnyhill. Today, we have the joy of welcoming new members into our Sunnyhill community. Stephen, Kelly, Anthony, Emily, Jennifer, Kevin, and your family, and Shannon, can you please come forward at this time? You guys lined up perfect, awesome. One of the great joys of my role is getting to know people as they find their way to our community and decide to make Sunnyhill their spiritual home. Today we celebrate several individuals and families who have chosen to deepen their connection to this congregation by becoming members. First, we have Stephen Fegge and Kelly Beeson. Stephen is looking forward to being part of a spiritually fulfilling community. Kelly can't wait to start meeting people and joining some groups. She says that joining feels like a visible commitment to justice, awareness, and spiritual development. She also wants to spiritually and financially support the beautiful work this church does. Kelly is looking forward to being officially part of a community with shared values and one that is welcoming to all, and engaging in some good late night dorm kind of conversations. Next, we have Anthony Nalian and Emily Yonan. Anthony and Emily are looking forward to growing spiritually and building community with the kind and compassionate people of Sunnyhill. And then we have Jennifer and Kevin Reitmeyer and Zach and Zoe. Jen is looking forward to becoming part of the Sunnyhill community and practicing her faith alongside like-minded individuals. And Kevin is seeking a spiritual home where he and his family are welcomed, supported, and can truly belong. And last, we have Shannon Jenkins. Shannon is most looking forward to community and involvement. In Sunnyhill, I share these hopes with you because membership is not just about signing a book or making a commitment. It is about relationships. I encourage you all to take a moment during coffee and conversation this morning to introduce yourself, ask a question, learn a story, and help these newest members experience the warmth and welcome that makes Sunnyhill such a special place. And you can also learn more about them by reading their full bios on the table in Fellowship Hall. And today, these individuals are making a commitment to Sunnyhill. And as a congregation, we are invited to renew our commitment to them, to welcome them, learn their stories, share our own, and help create the kind of community that we all seek. Let us now begin our membership ceremony.
But first, we're going to invite any kids to come up and just take a seat right up here so you can help us welcome our new members. So if there are any kiddos present that want to come up, now is your chance.
Today, we welcome into our congregation these new members who have chosen to become part of this church. We're so glad to have all of you here with us and just delighted that you've chosen to share this part of your journey with us. Will you accept our gifts of fellowship, mutual support, and service? Will you offer us your unique presence and gifts? And will you work with us as we seek to create a community and a world dedicated to compassion and justice? If so, please say, we will.
We will.
Congregation, will you welcome these new members with the warmth and comfort of your fellowship? Will you add your strengths and talents to the new gifts they bring to us? And will you share our triumphs and our struggles as our community grows and changes? If so, please say, we will.
We will. All right, kiddos, it's our turn. Will you do everything you can to make this family feel welcome in our congregation? And will you help them to know that we are the church of the open mind, the loving heart, and the helping hands? If so, please say, we will.
We will.
Let us all say together the words on our screens, which reflect our common purpose and common love in the midst of our diversity of beliefs. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. Please join me in welcoming our new members.
And if there are any other kiddos that want to come up for our story that didn't already come up, now is your chance. All right, everyone, good morning. Today in service, we are talking about a poet named Mary Oliver, who wrote words that flow together magically about the natural world and human emotions. She wrote, "Teach the children. We don't matter so much, but the children do. Show them daisies in the pale hepatica. Teach them the taste of sassafras and wintergreen. The lives of the blue sailors, mallow, sunburst, the moccasin flowers. And the frisky ones, inkberry, lamb's quarters, blueberries. And the aromatic ones, rosemary, oregano. Give them peppermint to put in their pockets as they go to school. Give them the fields and the woods and the possibility of a world salvaged from the lords of profit. Stand them in the stream, head them upstream. Rejoice as they learn to give this green space they live in, its sticks and leaves and then the silent, beautiful blossoms. Attention is the beginning of devotion." One of her most beloved poems is called "The Summer Day." As I read it, I want everyone here to imagine sitting in a grass field as the warm sun grazes your shoulders. Can you do that, friends? Yeah? Okay. Yeah?
I already think about it.
All right. Keep thinking about it. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper. I mean the one who has flung herself out of the grass. The one who is eating sugar out of my hand. Who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down. Who is gazing around her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? And with that, we will head to our art class. Let's sing those up.
This is the time in our service when we share joys and sorrows that have been submitted by members of our congregation. After each joy or sorrow that I share, please respond by saying, "We hold you in our hearts." Joy and sorrow from Frank Quinn and Sarah Yord. We welcomed our granddaughter Lily on March 4th in Colorado and our grandson Casey June 2nd at St. Clair. Everyone is healthy and exhausted. Sarah lost her mentor and good friend, Verna Yord, who is also Emma Yord's grandmother. She passed peacefully at 95 years old and lived a good life. For Frank, Sarah, Emma, and family, we hold you in our hearts. A joy from Patty Eisler. Patty says, "I have been cancer-free for 2 years." Yay, Patty. For Patty, we hold you in our hearts. From Joe Shaughnessy, Sunnyhill member and president of our UU Pittsburgh area cluster of congregations, a joy for Pride. Joe says, "I just want to say how great Pittsburgh Pride 2026 was last Sunday. We made some connections with the Allegheny Church, who are interested in doing their own table next year in conjunction with the cluster's table. I would like to thank all the Sunnyhillers who came out to march. It was noted by other UUs how strong our showing was, thanks to Bethany and Jen getting folks to town, and a special thanks to Betty Clark, Don Mangle, and all the others who helped staff the tent in Allegheny Commons West." Joe says, "I'm looking forward to next year's Pride already." To everyone involved in last week's Pittsburgh Pride event, we hold you in our hearts. A joy that I submitted. Many thanks to all of the Sunnyhillers who staffed our table at yesterday's Lebo Pride event. It was another great event, and it showcased just how committed our congregation is to working for LGBTQ plus justice at a time when it is critically important. Each year, our congregation shows up for Pride and other events that align with our mission to create a more just and compassionate community within and beyond our walls. One of the things I remember learning in seminary was you can tell if your congregation is relevant and vital if, when you imagine it disappearing from the community, someone would notice that it was gone. And let me assure you right now that if Sunnyhill were to disappear, it would be noticed and sorely missed by our greater community who has come to depend on us to show up at these events and others. To all of those involved in yesterday's Lebo Pride, we hold you in our hearts. As we sing our musical meditation, we invite anyone who feels moved to do so to come forward, light a candle, place it in the sand, and then return to your seat.
I know this rose will
Please join me in the spirit of meditation or prayer. Consider this summer day, this day of warmth, of cloud, of rain, this verdant day in a season of growth, this day of being here and really paying attention to this day, this hour, this very moment, and then the next. Consider where you might choose to focus your attention. What small or large thing might you choose to consider? What one particular thing might you think about just for now? What does it look like, feel like, sound like? What does it mean to you? What, if anything, is it saying to you? How might this one particular thing provide a clue about your relationship with yourself and with all the world? As we share a moment of silence, let us focus our attention softly, gently, lovingly on just this moment of grace and gathering clarity. Even in the midst of the most challenging of times, perhaps especially in the midst of the most challenging of times, may we remember to notice the particularity of the things around us. May we gain newfound perspective and centeredness in these moments, and may we listen to what each moment might call us to do in response. Amen. A few years ago, a Sunnyhill member shared with me a picture of a bumper sticker that they'd seen, which featured a reference to the poet Mary Oliver, and in particular to her poem, The Wild Geese, which for anyone who is familiar with Mary Oliver will know. The bumper sticker looked like this. It reads, "Honk if you're letting the soft animal of your body love what it loves." It's a great bumper sticker because it works on several levels, and it shows the extent to which the poetry of Mary Oliver has found its way into mainstream American culture, which is a rarity. As mentioned earlier, if contemporary Unitarian Universalism were to have a Book of Common Prayer, it would almost certainly contain some of the poems of Mary Oliver. And if we were to have saints, Mary Oliver would almost certainly be among them. In fact, in this painting by Kelly Lattimore, Oliver is depicted in the iconographic style of the saints, and is one of my favorite portraits. And I am grateful that the congregation gave me a framed print of this painting 2 years ago in celebration of my 10 years of service at Sunnyhill. But before I get into more about Mary Oliver, I'd like to give you a little context about my own poetic background and journey. When my sister and I were children, our family spent several summers on the campus of Rio Grande College in Southern Ohio, where my mother was taking classes to complete her undergraduate degree, which she had put on hold when she and our father were first married. Seeing our mother work to finish college as an adult had a big influence on my sister and me, as we saw firsthand both the value of higher education and also the work that was involved in it. And learning was a family matter for us in those days. Whatever course my mother took, we were all taking. When Mom was studying geometry, we were right there with her, struggling to understand the mysteries of such things as pi r squared and obtuse angles. When she took American history, we too learned history, painful as the lessons of history sometimes can be. And one summer, when our mother took a class on poetry, we too read the works of some of America's great poets of the 20th century, including Carl Sandburg, Robert Frost, E. E. Cummings, and many others. My sister refers to that particular summer as the summer when the McGaw family discovered poetry. From that point onward, our family has loved poetry, and in fact, my father has written and continues to write poems, as do I. On one occasion in the late 1960s, my parents traveled from Northeast Ohio, where we lived at the time, here to Pittsburgh to hear Robert Bly and James Wright at a poetry reading, I think at Pitt. Bly and Wright were at the height of their careers during this time and were among the young revolutionaries in the world of American poetry who were deeply engaged politically and who sought to break down some of the conventions of both poetry and society. And both embraced the concept and the practice of ecstatic poetry, poetry that evokes and explores transcendent and mystical experience. James Wright, who is seen here in a mixed media portrait by Sophie Herxheimer, became a primary influence on the work of Mary Oliver, who I will get to in just a moment, I promise. Wright was born in the gritty mill town of Martins Ferry, Ohio, just across the Ohio River from Wheeling, West Virginia. His was not a happy childhood, and he suffered his first nervous breakdown while a senior in high school. After a stint in the military, he took advantage of the GI Bill to attend Kenyon College, where he studied poetry, and then went on to earn a PhD from the University of Washington, where he happened to study with two of the giants of American poetry at that time, Theodore Retke and Stanley Kunitz. Wright came of age at a time when it seemed that most, if not all, poets were depressed alcoholics, and Wright was not an exception to this rule. His was not necessarily a happy life, but in his poems, Wright pointed to moments of great joy, most of which were centered around his experience of the natural world. Mary Oliver was another Ohio native who did not have a happy childhood. In fact, she was a sexual abuse survivor who found refuge outdoors in the nearby woods and streams. For Oliver, the natural world was not just a source of inspiration, but something that rescued her from torment. She spent a good deal of her early years wandering through the woods with a notebook and a book of Walt Whitman poems. As she said of these experiences, "I think it saved my life. To this day," she said, "I don't care for the enclosure of buildings." One of the reasons Mary Oliver has not enjoyed the full respect of some literary critics is that she did not have the same kind of academic background as James Wright, for example. While she attended Ohio State University and Vassar College, she never earned a degree from either, and she did not study alongside any of the great giants of poetry. She did, however, have a lengthy correspondence with James Wright that began in 1963 and lasted until Wright's death in 1980. Although they never met in person, their letters reflect a profound exchange of ideas between two individuals who shared the experience of deep despair, the willingness to write plainly and directly, and a sense of joy and ecstasy derived from their relationship with the natural world. In 1963, having just read Wright's poetry collection, The Branch Will Not Break, Oliver wrote in her journal, "Tonight, in a room the size of a cupboard, I am broke, I am getting a cold, and intermittently I am thinking of someone who never comes around anymore and nothing really matters. And I am radiant with happiness because James Wright exists." Years later, Oliver wrote a poem titled "A Lesson from James Wright," which reads as follows: "If James Wright could put in his book of poems a blank page dedicated to the horse David who ate one of my poems, I am ready to follow him along the sweet path he cut through the dryness, and suggest that you sit now very quietly in some lovely wild place and listen to the silence. And I say, this too is a poem." And here is the lesson from both James Wright and Mary Oliver that I would like us to think about today. Make room in your life, in whatever way you can, for silence and for the experience of the particularity of the natural world. For it is through an awareness of these things that you might find life-affirming, life-sustaining joy. We can find these elements, silence, particularity, nature, joy, very much at work in a poem that Wright titled in his unique titling style, "Depressed by a book of bad poetry, I walk toward an unused pasture and invite the insects to join me." It goes like this: "Relieved, I let the book fall behind a stone. I climb a slight rise of grass. I do not want to disturb the ants who are walking single file up the fence post, carrying small white petals, casting shadows so frail I can see through them. I close my eyes for a moment and listen. The old grasshoppers are tired. They leap heavily now. Their thighs are burdened. I want to hear them. They have clear sounds to make. Then lovely, far off, a dark cricket begins in the maple trees. I think it's pretty easy to see a clear through line from this poem by James Wright to Mary Oliver's take on a grasshopper years later. And it's not just the insect theme, but an insistence on noticing these insects, the ones right here before you that exist in this moment, and how the experience of these particular things in this particular moment point to something that transcends any and all experiences. How the transcendent is the result of a deeper awareness of the otherwise mundane. While religions have tended to claim that the transcendent is exclusively the realm of the divine, and philosophy has tended to locate the transcendent in various systems of understanding, poets insist on finding the transcendent in the experience of this moment, something described by Cummings as everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. This is a fabric collage by artist Amelia Brown, inspired by Mary Oliver's poem, The Summer Day, which I'll read again. Who made this world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass and who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do not know how to pay attention. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? In order to fully appreciate this poem, it might be important to understand that Oliver was writing about an actual experience, an actual moment. As she said in an interview with Krista Tippett in 2015, one thing about that poem, which I think is important, is that the grasshopper actually existed, and yet I was able to fit him into that poem. And the sugar he was eating was part of some frosting from a Portuguese lady's birthday cake, which wasn't important to the poem. But even seeing that little creature come to my plate and say, "I'd like a little helping of that," it somehow fascinates me that that's just personal for me, that it was Mrs. Segura, probably her 90th birthday cake or something. So at the center of this poem, in a section which comprises about half the poem, is this detailed description of this grasshopper. And we also notice that the poem is titled The Summer Day, not A Summer Day. And on either side of this detailed description of this particular grasshopper, there are two sets of three questions. The first three philosophical, or even theological ponderings. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? And at the end, after we see the grasshopper in all its particularity, these three questions in response to the first three. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? And then the absolute kicker, as she puts down the Mary Oliver hammer and drops the mic. Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? As she frequently does in her poems, Oliver ends with a startlingly challenging, almost devastating question. After paying attention, after noticing the particularity of each thing in this moment and becoming aware of its temporal nature, the question we are left with is, what do you plan to do? Not, isn't this lovely? There is a profound connection that is made between the inner life of the individual and the outer life of the natural world. And if noticed and fully appreciated, this connection challenges us to consider what we will do in response to having deeply experienced this connection. In the end, everything, including us, dies. Given this fact, and given the great beauty within and around us, what will we choose to do in response? And it all starts with noticing, with paying attention to details and particularity. As Unitarian Universalists, if we truly believe that every person has the right to flourish with inherent dignity and worthiness, if we truly wish to honor the interdependent web of all existence, then it all begins with our awareness of what is around us here and now. It must be rooted in our individual and shared experiences of everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. And having fully experienced this moment, we must ask ourselves what we will do in response. What will we do to protect and extend to every person the right to flourish and experience these moments of profound awareness? What will we do to honor the interdependent web that sustains us, as well as this grasshopper? Life begins and ends in questions. I hope and pray that we will open ourselves to these questions and that we will respond, hearts aflame with the experience of this moment and a commitment to answering with a fierce love which may be mortal, but which never dies. May it be so. Amen.
Please rise again and body your spirit to join in singing For the Earth Forever Turning.
For our lives, for all we share.
Our Share the Plate beneficiary for the month of June is Women for a Healthy Environment, a Pittsburgh-based nonprofit dedicated to creating healthy, safe, and sustainable communities for all. WHE provides education, advocacy, and hands-on programs that address environmental health risks in homes, schools, and underserved neighborhoods, work that aligns closely with our values and our commitment to environmental justice. You can make a gift online on our website or by text at 412-324-3130. We'll be passing our offering baskets for cash and checks in just a moment. If you're writing a check, please make it out to UUCSH and put Share the Plate in the memo line. Thank you for your generosity. Please join me in saying the words to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Special announcement before our closing words today. UU Justice PA is a statewide UU organization that advocates for our values in the state legislature and elsewhere. The organization has recently been revitalized with a new executive director based in Harrisburg and a new board of trustees. One of these new board members is Sunnyhill member Kelly Anderson, who is here with us today along with Jeannie Zhang, our liaison to UU Justice PA, to tell us about the organization and a postcarding opportunity for everyone to participate in.
Good morning. My name is Jeannie Zhang, and I've been the Sunnyhill liaison to UU Justice PA since late 2023 after taking over from our social justice superhero, Pat Murray. And how many of you know what UU Justice PA is? Okay, you should know more, that's on me. So, okay, it's an organization of UU congregations from across Pennsylvania that advocates for important issues in the State House and Senate. And especially under the current state of affairs in Washington, the state level is really, really important right now. So up until late summer of 2024, my main focus was on doing postcarding here. But then in late summer and up until the election, UU Justice PA focused on get out the vote activities along with nationwide UU the vote. And I had a dedicated team here of about 40 people, many of you are here today, who did get out the vote activities, mostly postcarding, but also some phone calling and knocking on doors. And then very sadly, a few weeks before the election, Reverend Joan Sabatino, who was the executive director of UU Justice PA, passed away unexpectedly. And that was a real blow to the organization. And throughout 2025, I was pretty discouraged about things and even said, is this organization going to keep going? Well, in December, we hired Michael Mirazar, and I can't say enough good things about him. He's a great leader. He's done a fantastic job of revitalizing the organization. He's been here twice, and he was open to meeting with anybody interested, and some of us met him for coffee in Mount Lebanon. And he's also given our LGBTQ plus team some really valuable help with state Senate bills. So, let's see. Yeah, so upcoming, there's going to be, well, he now has a monthly newsletter which gives valuable information, action alerts where you can just go online and immediately contact your state legislators. And there's going to be a lot of get out the vote activities in the fall for the midterm elections with a program called Democracy Defenders. And then the most recent thing he did was to expand the board from 6 to 9 members. And as Jim pointed out, the most exciting thing for us at Sunnyhill is that Kelly Anderson a few weeks ago was elected as a new board of trustees for a 3-year term. And Kelly has been a part of Sunnyhill since 2008, where she and her husband raised their 2 children. And Kelly volunteers with organizations advocating to protect the democratic process and combat racism. So I'm going to turn this over to her for more information.
Thank you. I'll put this right out here for anyone who wants to take a picture of this. This is a QR code that will take you to the newsletter, to a form that you can fill out to sign up for the UU Justice PA newsletter. You'll get information about various activities that the committees are working on, and any bills that we need to really pay attention to. I was thinking about, you always learn about the 3 branches of government, executive, legislative, and judicial. And if you're like me, you may forget every once in a while that there's the federalism as well of our country, right? There's those 3 branches for the country, and then there's those 3 branches for the state. And because we are a state, we have that extra layer of people to work for us, right? So we have our representatives who can do lots of things. So that's what UU Justice PA is about, is making sure that our state legislators are working for us to deliver on our UU values. So please sign up for the newsletter. You'll get it in your email, and you'll find out what's going on and what you can get involved with at the state level, which, as Jeannie mentioned, is really important right now because the federal level is not doing as much for our folks. one of the, I guess the other thing I'll say is many of you stopped by the table that I was at earlier, where I am asking people to send letters and postcards to 19 states and territory governors who have sent National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. They're doing a surge, what they call the summer surge, where they're trying to get the number of National Guard troops up to 5,000 in Washington, D.C. I will remind you that Washington, D.C. is a less than 10 square mile area. And Minneapolis is 56 square miles. They had 2,000 troops there. Now D.C. is getting, they're up to 3,250. So we have to ask these governors to take their National Guard back, take their National Guard troops back. They're not needed in D.C. So that's what I've got going on out there. And I also have other QR codes for you to sign up for UU Justice PA. Thank you very much. I look forward to working with you and seeing what we do with this life of ours. Thanks.
Also, please remember that our Mount Lebanon Juneteenth celebration is happening today, Juneteenth at the Mount Lebanon Park from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. So stop by if you can. I'm going to close with this poem from Mary Oliver called Hallelujah. Everyone should be born into this world happy and loving everything, but in truth, it rarely works that way. For myself, I have spent my life clamoring toward it. Hallelujah, I'm not where I started. And have you too been trudging like that, sometimes almost forgetting how wondrous the world is and how miraculously kind some people can be? And have you too decided that probably nothing important is ever easy, not say for the first 60 years? Hallelujah, I'm 60 now and even a little more, and some days I feel I have wings. Go in peace.